everybody, this is Shauna and Pete with God Youth Family Discipleship. We're at it again today with 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and I'm going to read verses 10 and 11. This is a touchy subject, but we're just going to give you what the scripture says.
Right.
It says, "To the married I give this command, not I, but the Lord. A wife must not separate from her husband, but if she does, she must remain unmarried or else be reconciled to her husband. And a husband must not divorce his wife."
So the Apostle Paul basically talking about divorce and about how the marriage covenant is to be eternal. Those individuals are not to separate until the physical bodies fail or to death. The thing that he talks about is something that Jesus reiterated when he was on earth in his ministry. Jesus, that was Jeremiah screaming in the background if y'all heard that. But Jesus said in his earthly ministry that the same thing, that it was never meant for there to be a certificate of divorce. He said it's set for sexual immorality.
Right.
So whenever one of the individuals strays from the marriage covenant and becomes sexually immoral and does things outside the marriage covenant they shouldn't be doing, Jesus says that's the only instance where there can be a separation of marriage.
Right. It's a very touchy subject, but if we apply everything that the Apostle Paul has already taught us about marriage, we understand and know that there are things that can come in between a husband and wife. There are things that can take away the purity and the love and the devotion and the intimacy from a marriage. And those things tend to get in the way, and we think that that's enough just to call it quits. A lot of times, marriage is something you have to always work on and work for. A relationship with anybody you have to work at. You can't have a friend, ignore them for 2 years and expect them to pick right up where you left off and there be unanswered questions. Just like with a relationship and a marriage relationship, you have to be someone that communicates and someone that loves and someone that sacrifices. But also, there's an abundance of grace given in a marriage relationship. We need to be people that are committed to Christ and committed to our spouse. And it's not something that we should just toss aside and think, oh, it's okay because everybody does it.
Right, and something that we have to remember about divorce is that it was never intended by God. You're supposed to be unified forever, and it's the easy way out. Yeah. Divorce is essentially you giving up on the hard work that Shauna talked about. One of the major things that I see that leads to divorce is that individuals are either out for self-gratification, and it's everything about me. I'm not getting what I need. I'm not getting my needs met. Or either it's them wanting to satisfy the other person too much, and they get disgruntled in that they're never satisfied. She's never happy with what I give her. She's never happy with anything that I do for her, instead of seeking the satisfaction of God in the relationship. And we talked about this earlier, and the thing that you want in a relationship is for God to be glorified. What is God's will for that situation? And we see so many families and so many homes and so many children hurt because relationships end badly, because individuals decide that we're just giving up. We're not willing to fight for our relationship anymore. There's a great movie out there. If you guys haven't seen it and you're a married couple, watch Fireproof. It's a story of a man who
it's redemption.
He's willing to give up on his relationship, and his father encourages him to fight for his marriage.
Yeah.
Great movie. Great movie. If you haven't seen that, watch that. But that's kind of like what we have to be willing to do. We have to be willing to fight for God's will. And we see here in Scripture, God's will is not for us to separate.
Right.
God's will is for us to be together. God's will for us to overcome. And that's what we have to fight for, and that's what we have to be willing to go the extra mile for, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll talk more tomorrow about marriage and about some situations in marriage that may take place. But God is a redeemer of all things. So we want to encourage you to read the blog today and every day read the scripture. Remember to...
If y'all hear that, there's not a cat giving birth in the room with us. That is Judah or Jeremiah attacking each other next door.
So, but encounter God, exalt God, engage the world, and edify yourself, reading, studying, praying, listening to worship music, worshiping the Lord. So until next time, we love you and God bless you.
God bless.